I'm so excited that you agreed to come on and talk to me, man. I really appreciate it.
No, brother, it's my pleasure. I'm sorry I'm in my room right now. Unfortunately, my wife is actually going to be coming home, and I told her, I said, listen, because I usually do all this stuff in my living room in the corner, and I go, I'm going to be tucked away in the room, and so I'm sorry for making it look so awkward, but it's
Oh
a pleasure to
no,
be on the show.
I totally understand because I've got kids running around downstairs and all these things, so I'm shut up in a room
Yeah, you got to
myself.
find
So
a quiet corner to do this stuff right. I hear you.
right, man. I wanted to tell you a couple of things before we start. I've become an Alpha Hippie fan for sure over the last few months, and been binging podcasts that you've done, and there are a couple of things that have stood out to me and had an impact on me. And the first one is I've heard you say a couple of times, I'm not going to do it if I don't do it 100%. Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that just struck me. I heard it a few weeks ago and I was like, damn, there's so many things that I'm just like half-assed doing, and what if you just cut those things out, And so I've kind of tried to pay attention to those things because I've heard you say that. So there's something that has already had an impact on me.
No,
And
thank you. I'm glad you even follow the stuff, man. I really appreciate it.
oh yeah, for sure. The second thing is I listened to your podcast with Bradley
Oh
Schneller.
God. Yeah.
And it was one of my favorites, if I'm honest.
No,
Uh,
for sure. Me and
and he,
Bradley just laugh all the time.
right, and he's telling the story about his expensive underwear that he wears, and you're like, dude, I just wear the Target stuff, and I was like, hell yeah, so do
Yeah.
I.
Yeah.
Like I don't have $50 underwear.
No way. I don't even have that much time to think about my underwear.
Right, exactly. But that's
Yeah,
just appealing to me because you're just like this very approachable and normal person, so
for sure. Thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate it.
yeah. So I want to kind of tell the story. I love your brand Alpha Hippies, and I want to tell the story, like the origin story of that. Um, but where did this whole journey start for you? I know I read that you had an accident in 2009 or so, and like a motorcycle accident. So can
Yeah,
you tell me about that?
yeah, for sure. So in 2003, it's actually longer. In 2003, I was 20 years old. I had a motorcycle, like a cruiser motorcycle. I was driving one day and I got hit by a landscaping truck. And I got hit off of the motorcycle, basically on my left side. I lost a piece of my finger, but the main injury was the lower part of my leg. So on my leg right now, I have 10 screws in a plate, and the calf kind of ripped open. So I have a new piece of skin on the calf, and then basically on the top of my foot, for about half of my foot, I would say from the ankle down, is all new skin. So that's really a big catalyst for a lot of what my adult life really shaped up to be. So I was in the hospital for 2 months, rehab for 5 months, and then I was just kind of banging around. I didn't really have much going on in my life. Between the accident, but obviously it wasn't just the accident. I didn't finish college and doing all that stuff, and that kind of was off to the wayside. And I just gained a lot of weight. I gained a lot of weight from not only not being able to be really mobile, but also during that time, my parents split up. And I was in my early 20s, and my parents were together for a very long time. They got married in the early 70s, and then they split up, 2007. So, I mean, it was pretty much, a very long time, 35 years. But also, too, my father was in prison from 1989 until December of 99, so almost 11 years. And so
Wow.
I took so much pride and identity in the fact that my family went through what would ruin most families, and we stayed together. And when my father left, I had a really hard time. I would just eat a lot. I gained a lot of weight. I didn't really do much, and also too, I was limping around, which also didn't really help me want to move around and stuff like that. And I found CrossFit in late 2008, and I started January 5th, 2009. And I lost 95 pounds those first 7 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty early in CrossFit years. I started in 2009, and it was a way different time for CrossFit back then. What gym did you go to at that time?
It's funny you say this. There really wasn't a gym around me. I just would follow .com
Oh,
and
okay.
and make up stuff or like add a little something on my own or play around with it like that. But there wasn't really a gym around it. Like the idea of having a CrossFit affiliate and that being like a thing you go to in 2009, or at least in the Midwest around our area in Chicago, it really wasn't very dense. And so I just did it by myself. And then I just started training people outside for free after that. I just wanted people wanted to work out with me because I lost so much weight and I thought it was so much fun. So we were all together. And then it got to the point where like, shit, I can't keep working out with all these people. So I just started training them for free. And then September of '09, I rented a racquetball court space inside a little spot and converted that to a spot where I trained people. And I did that from September of '09 until October of 2010 and just built up a small training business. And then I was like, man, that we have to close on this holiday. We have to do this. We have to do this. This kind of sucks. I want my own hours and do whatever I want. And so I just started looking for spaces and opened O'Hare CrossFit in November of 2010 in a 2,500 square foot spot.
Were you doing O'Hare CrossFit is like one of my favorite gyms to follow.
Thank
Like
you.
you do such a great job of at least from the outside looking in, like it looks like an awesome gym. I follow on Facebook and all that. The videos are great. Everything is fantastic. What did you when you started, were you just by yourself?
Oh yeah, when I first started, yeah, it was all me. I think, I was the admin. I cleaned. I did everything. It was just me and one man shop. I'd coach all the classes, and I did that for probably a year and a half, 2 years.
Something, yeah, something I've seen. Did you ever get burned out at all on doing that, or something I've seen? Seems like or at least I've experienced myself is where if you're going to open that gym every day and you're coaching classes all day long, that it's really easy to get burned out if you're not on fire about that. Did that ever happen to you at all, or?
Yeah, I'll be completely transparent. I was very temperamental in the early years, and I really think it was because I was just fucking exhausted, couldn't afford any help. And so if someone would come late for class, like I would treat them like they were like a bad student, like I was a a principal in an office. And, now that I really think about that, it was a combination of insecurity, right? I opened up this gym. I wanted to do this crazy thing called CrossFit, and I wanted people to respect it. And then on top of it, I was exhausted from trying to work 12-hour days every day, hoping that people would like it. And especially too, like in those days, you just want people there and you want them to stay, and you'll almost do anything. You'll do a 30-minute private session with them after class. You'll be there an hour early to teach someone how to clean and do all that stuff. And so it was me, one of one. And so I think I got to the point where my burnout really came out in just aggressiveness and lashing out and being not as patient as I should have been.
Right. So how did you go from being just the one guy to, you obviously have a team helping you at this point.
For sure.
So what was that transition like, and how did it happen?
Yeah, for sure. I was definitely the micromanager in the very beginning. Fun fact. So really great guy. His name is Mike Olson, basically volunteered to give me Friday nights off and coach the Friday night classes. I was such a fucking weirdo, Vaughn. I would go to my mother, take her car, say I need to borrow your car, and I would take her car and I would drive up and down the block of the gym to make sure that everything was okay.
Oh
like
my
a
gosh.
fucking creep. I didn't even enjoy it anyway. It's the truth. I would just take her car. I go, yeah, I need to borrow your car. Okay. She's like, yeah, what's going on? And I would just drive up and down the block because nobody would know it was me.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
And that was probably the first 2 years of the gym. I mean, and we obviously, if you know the timeline of it, I was lucky enough to have my footing in CrossFit before the boom of CrossFit. So I was able to probably ride the wave way better than a lot of people because it just came up under me. I didn't have to go chase it.
Right.
And so, yeah, we hired Mike and another guy named Matt, and they were just sort of part-time. And we got to the point where the gym was really growing, and like, I didn't know how to manage all these things. And so there was a young lady, her name was Becca, who was an incredible, just a really great athlete of mine. She made regionals countless of years and all of that. And she started coaching for me and part-time, but she worked at Allstate, like an insurance company. And she said she really hated it and she wishes she could train and do all this stuff. And I mean, I had no sense or anything, but I knew that she was really passionate about it and I really trusted her. And I go, bring in, just send me your check stub, whatever you get paid, that's how much I'm going to pay you.
Wow.
Come work for me. And she, boom. And sure enough, Becca came and worked for me, and she was the first part-time person that I hired. What's really amazing about our story is her and I grew to creating a nutrition business together that she runs and manages, and she still helps out at the gym part-time because she has a baby now. And so it's so great that she's been a part of the team for probably almost 7 years at this point, 6-7 years. And she's still around. And then just slowly over time, I was really fixated on having professional coaches. So I was very big on not having a big team, but having full-time people. And so we were just able to acquire three full-time people right now. And that's what really runs the majority of the day-to-day stuff. We have part-time team and all that stuff, but my ace players that really that do other things besides coaching and all that really make that happen now full-time.
Right. You do such a great job of marketing and videos and all these things. Do you have like a creative person that works with you, or do you guys just do whatever pops in your head?
No, that's a really great question. So, first, I want to give a big shout out to, his name is George Perez of B Visual 30. He does all of our videos. He's basically my videographer on staff, and he does incredible work. But we have a small team. There's actually 4 people. It's me, this lovely lady named Gretchen, my wife, and George. And we're basically the marketing team. And we talk about just what we're going to focus on from a storytelling perspective and how we could really make it work. And I think having the videographer, the creative, the person that really is behind the camera, not only he does CrossFit, he understands CrossFit, but he's in our meetings. I think he just understands what we're trying to capture really well because he's a part of the whole process. I think a lot of times what people do is their videographer is so distant from all of that. So they're shooting, but they don't know what they're really supposed to be shooting. And
Right.
so I would think that's probably why George does such an incredible job.
Yeah, man. So shout out to you because you're doing a fantastic job, obviously.
Thank you so much.
What about Alpha Hippie? So how long have you been doing that? Again, everything from a user's standpoint. When I look at Alpha Hippie, appeals to me like I'm probably one of your target customers. But how long have you been doing that? And again, did you do all this yourself, and did you have someone to help you? The website looks great. The videos are awesome.
Yep.
Same thing.
Sure. Oh, this is awesome. So, so Alpha Hippie it started off almost as a joke. So in 2014, I would say I really started getting big into self-development and Mike and doing all that crazy stuff in California and really being a part of that stuff. And I would come home and share a lot of my experiences with people, and people really didn't understand it. And I was like, listen, well, you don't understand this stuff because you're not an Alpha Hippie. And it was just like something to say to someone. And when I got done saying it, I was like, man, I want to go find a shirt that says this because I want to wear a shirt that says I'm an Alpha Hippie. And there was no shirts. And so I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to draw this logo and I'll get this made and I'll make a shirt. And so I made the logo that everyone sees as Alpha Hippie and designed the layout. Somebody made it a little bit prettier and everything like that, but I drew like the rough sketches of it. And I, instead of printing out a few shirts, I printed out 100 shirts, and I started just giving them away and sending them to people that I thought just were really cool. And I would ask them just to take a picture of it, and so I could post it on Instagram. And I thought it was just so fun. And I was like, well, what could be the next thing of this Alpha Hippie stuff? And so I decided to do a podcast. And the main reason I selfishly wanted to do a podcast is I love long form conversations. Right. I really enjoy talking to someone for 2-3 hours. I don't think it's weird. I could stay in this pocket forever, and I really enjoy it. So I started the podcast about a year ago. This week will be the 52nd episode. And then, and I do a show every week. And then midsummer of last year, I was kind of in a creative rut, and I knew that I wanted to make something next. And I started thinking about like, well, what frustrates me? What can I be a solution to? And